Okay, let's look at perspective sketching. And if you've read the section here in the textbook, you got two different types. You got a 1 point and a 2 point. And the 1 point is very similar to an oblique, except for all of your depth lines recede back to a single vanishing point. Okay, so very similar to an oblique. A 2 point is where every depth to the right goes to one vanishing point, depth to the left goes to another vanishing point. So it's kind of like an isometric, but you're drawing it as you actually see it with your eye. And this is mostly used in architectural type renderings where they want to do a perspective of a building. And you got different variations of it to where, as you're looking at it, are you looking up? It's called a worm's eye view. Are you looking down? It's called a bird's eye view. Things like that. I'm going to do a separate video for that. So this assignment here this morning is about the 1 point perspective. Okay, and you're going to be doing. I've got I think two of them on schedule. One is this will be the first one, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. So take your graph paper, and I'm going to go ahead and give you your starting point. You want to come over 3 1/4 inches from the left edge of the paper, and then up 3 inches, and that's going to be the lower left corner of my object. And the way to do these, just like with an oblique, is you want to go ahead and draw in the front view as if you were looking at it straight on. So we just go back to our book and count our squares. 1, 2, 13 squares over. Six squares tall. Okay, I know that's kind of light. I'm doing construction lines here. That's the box of my front view. Okay, and so now I want to put in my details. And it's 2.5 tall. Okay, so that's got the details of my front view. Okay, I'm going to need all of those to project with. And there's a process for setting up an actual perspective drawing as far as the angles and the vanishing points and things like that. After you've worked with these for a while, you can kind of guesstimate how you want it to look. So what we're going to do is we're going to come from the right edge of my object. We're going to come over 4 inches, and then from the top corner there we're going to go up 3 inches. So that's this line. So that is going to be my vanishing point. So once again, from the top right corner, it's over 4 and up 3. Now everything from my front view is going to go to that vanishing point. So what I do is I line up some rays, construction lines, and I just want to draw from each point on my front view. Anything that's going to give a depth line, and I project those back to the vanishing point. Okay, now I want to look at my object of what is on my front view that stays. And so I'm going to go ahead and darken in the things that stay, so it'd be a little easier for you to see them. Okay, so that's my front view. That's on the front viewing plane. My depth, as I go back, if you remember when we did the obliques, if you do a full depth oblique, it looks a little weird. So often in obliques, we'll do cabinet obliques, which are half depth. With perspectives, the way the angle you use and the distance to the vanishing point, there's a lot of variables in establishing the depth. For these exercises, we're just going to use 0.7 of the depth, and that will give us a pretty good representation. So if I got the depth of this is 7 squares deep. Pardon me while I get my calculator. All right, so we can no longer go with squares. We got to convert this over to inches. So it's 7 times 0.25 inches gives me 1.75 times 0.7, 1.225 inches. Okay, so we'll round it to 1 1/4 inch deep. And you have to measure it back, and you want to pick one line and do that measurement with. So I said 1 1/4 inch. Okay, that's going to be my rear surface. Let me check my note here. That'll work. And so I want to draw a line across there. Because that's going to establish my rear of my object. And so that comes across to there. I just darken in the planes as they finish up. Okay, so kind of got to do the same thing here. And so there is, that's the rear corner of the bottom portion. So I kind of need to know how far back to come this way. And that was three squares, 3/4 of an inch. A little bit over 1/2 of an inch. And then these two connect across the back there. All right, so I go back to this front corner here. This goes back in 3 squares, which I did with that. I can measure it up here. So it's a little bit over 1/2 of an inch, be the same as this one.